You think Christmas desserts in the 1960s and 70s were all about simple sugar cookies and apple pie. Think again. These mid-century American kitchens turned out some of the most innovative, colorful, and wildly experimental sweet treats ever to grace a holiday table. They're real desserts served at real Christmas gatherings across suburban America. Let's dig into 25 Christmas desserts from the groovy era that somehow vanished from our holiday spreads, taking their Technicolor glory and martini-infused magic with them. Traditional aged fruit cake. 1. Traditional aged fruit cake. Forget the hard-as-a-brick fruitcake punchline. It used to be a proud legacy. Real homemakers treated this slow-aged fruitcake like a sacred ritual. Starting in September, grandmas across the country would cream butter, stir in dark brown sugar, mix spiced flour, and fold in eggs. Then came the bounty: candied citrus, golden raisins, glossy cherries, and walnuts packed into a rich batter. Baked low and slow, the real secret began after baking. Every week you'd unwrap the cake, brush it gently with brandy or rum, then rewrap it. The flavor deepened, the texture transformed. This wasn't a dessert. It was a 3-month testament to patience and tradition. It symbolized dignity, foresight, and a genuine connection to heritage. Today, we trade that legacy for fast fixes, and this beautiful craft got left behind. But oh, it was never meant to vanish. It was meant to evolve. 2. Ambrosia Salad. Ambrosia Salad, a sweet mystery that puzzled every child staring at the buffet line. Was it dessert? A side? Why was it next to the green beans? Created in the South and adopted nationwide in the post-war boom, it was born when canned fruit became an everyday luxury. Oranges, pineapple, coconut, mini marshmallows, cherries, all folded into whipped or sour cream. Sometimes chopped nuts or even spotty bananas were added. Chilled overnight, it turned into a soft, snowy scoop served in crystal bowls. The textures clashed, the flavors zinged, and somehow it charmed everyone. Straddling the line between dish and dessert, ambrosia didn't need to make sense. That's exactly why it worked. But when food trends demanded cleaner lines and rejection of the weird, ambrosia disappeared, along with everything whimsical and deliciously confusing. 3. Butterscotch Yule Log. Imagine the elegance of a French bûche de Nile, and now reimagine it with butterscotch pudding and Cool Whip. That's the 1970s Butterscotch Yule Log, a funky American remix of Euroclass. Homemakers skipped the genoise sponge and ganache drama. Instead, they rolled warm jelly roll chocolate cake with instant butterscotch pudding and whipped topping inside. Cracked edges, perfect. They added bark-like frosting with a fork and sprinkled Heath bar moss on top, finishing with a snowy powdered sugar dusting. Convenience wasn't a shortcut. It was modern magic. This dessert ruled holiday tables, serving European flair with all-American charm. You didn't need Paris, you needed a packet of pudding. Long before food snobs looked down on instant ingredients, this log proved sophistication could live in a Cool Whip container. 4. Bananas Foster. Bananas Foster wasn't just a dessert. It was flames, flair, and flavors flying from your dining room buffet. Born in New Orleans in the 50s, it reached legendary Christmas status in the flambe-fixated 60s and 70s. Butter and brown sugar bubbled into caramel, banana liqueur sizzled in, sliced bananas soaked up the syrup, and then came the fire. Rum hit the pan, got tilted toward the flame, and whoosh, drama. The flaming sauce slid over vanilla ice cream, hot meeting cold in perfect harmony. Hosts showed off their copper cookware and sophisticated skill. This was rich, theatrical, and unforgettable. Now, the show's over. Costco tiramisu has replaced house-made spectacle, and the spirit of dinner as performance slowly burned away. 5. Pineapple Upside-Down Cake. Pineapple upside-down cake wasn't just dessert. It was a warm, sticky masterpiece built on a cast-iron stage. Thanks to Dollies marketing, this tropical treat exploded in the 60s. Butter and brown sugar caramelized on the stovetop, pineapple rings arranged in symmetrical perfection, cherries plopped right in those golden centers. Yellow cake batter, be it from scratch or Duncan Hines, poured on top before baking into gooey, golden beauty. The moment of glory, the flip. One firm motion and the pan turned over, revealing the glossy caramelized fruit like edible stained glass. Church cookbooks offered dozens of versions, all claiming to be the one. The texture crackled at the edge. The flavor was fruit-forward and old-school exotic. Yet today, we'd rather pipe edible flowers on cupcakes than embrace this retro marvel. Simple doesn't trend, but it sure tastes unforgettable. 6. Pumpkin bread. Today's pumpkin obsession didn't start with lattes. It was baked into foil-wrapped loaves passed lovingly through neighborhoods each December. In the 70s, pumpkin bread was the ultimate Christmas gift, from mother to teacher to mailman. Recently canned pumpkin met the rise of bundt pans and boom, holiday tradition was born. You'd beat oil, brown and white sugar, eggs and canned pumpkin into silky bliss, then mix in spiced flour and nuts. The batter filled 2 pans, emerging moist and rich, lasting for days. More forgiving than pie, easier than cookies, this bread lived in every festive tin and stayed soft long after the first bite. The smell alone meant the holidays had arrived. But as we traded foil for fancy boxes and homemade for gourmet store-bought, this dense, spiced beauty started gathering dust in recipe boxes. 7. Black Forest cake. Black Forest cake came waltzing in with rich layers and fake cherries, America's flirtation with European elegance. The 70s version didn't quite match the German original, but it sure knew how to make an entrance. Boxed chocolate cake boosted with extra eggs became the base. Between layers, canned cherry pie filling, whipped cream, sometimes pudding too. Topped with snowy cream, maraschino cherries, and a flurry of chocolate shavings, it declared, "We're fancy now." Unlike the kirsch-soaked Schwarzwälder Kirschtorte, this shortcut version favored sweetness over authenticity. But wow, did it deliver drama. The glass cake stand revealed perfect contrasts of dark and white. Serving it felt somewhat continental, even if it came from a mix. But in today's world of scratch-only snobbery and farmer's market purity, this charming impostor was laughed off the table. And so it faded, with chocolate tears and all. 8. Texas sheet cake. Texas sheet cake wasn't named for the state. It was named for its size. Big, bold, and built for feeding a crowd, it was the MVP of church potlucks and neighborhood Christmas parties. The magic started on the stove, melting butter, cocoa, and water into a glossy base, then pouring it over flour and sugar like liquid velvet. Buttermilk made it tangy, eggs and vanilla pulled it together, and that paper-thin batter spread across a sheet pan like lava. As it baked, the real magic began, hot frosting. Yes, while it was still steaming. Another boiled butter cocoa mixture poured on immediately melted into every crevice, creating a soft, fudgy crust. Sprinkled with pecans, it was all chewy edges and gooey middle. No layers, no frills, just a chocolate blanket ready to be sliced into 50 generous squares. Today's desserts want flash. This one delivered comfort. 9. Mississippi mud pie. With a name like Mississippi mud pie, you'd expect a mess. And oh, did it deliver in the best way. Dark, dense, indulgent, this was a dessert that looked like river bottom and tasted like molten heaven. Crushed Oreo crust, buttery and thick, formed the base. Then a glossy, bourbon-kissed chocolate filling took over. Eggs, sugar, melted chips blended into pure decadence. Baked until just barely set, the top cracked like dried earth. Then came the marshmallows, lightly broiled until golden and sticky, followed by a slick of warm ganache, because why stop now? A scattered crunch of pecans sealed the deal. Served cold or room temp, every layer hit differently. Crunchy, chewy, soft, smoldering. It wasn't fancy. It wasn't polite. It was full-on chocolate abandon. But somewhere along the way, we traded excess for balance, and rich, unapologetic desserts like this sank back into sweet memory. 10. Watergate Salad. Watergate Salad, scandalous by name, neon by nature. No one really knows if it was named for the political cover-up or that shocking green glow, but this no-bake dessert spread like a juicy rumor. Start with a pistachio pudding mix, just the powdered box stuff. Add canned crushed pineapple juice and all. Then came the mini marshmallows, chopped nuts, and a big dollop of Cool Whip. No oven, no stove, just stir and chill. As it set, the pudding fused with the pineapple juice, making a creamy, fluffy cloud of minty green sweetness. It was quirky, festive, utterly retro. Red cherries sometimes joined in to play up the holiday palette. Kids devoured it. Adults pretended not to. But as foodies turned their backs on processed shortcuts, Watergate Salad became guilty nostalgia, hidden away like grandma's Tupperware in the back of the fridge. 11. Butterscotch Haystacks. Butterscotch Haystacks might have looked chaotic, but behind those sticky golden clumps was pure Christmas genius. No oven, no baking skills, just a mixing bowl and a microwave. Melt butterscotch chips until smooth, then stir in crunchy chow mein noodles, that salty, curly kind from cans, and maybe a handful of peanuts or cashews for an extra punch. Scoop the mixture onto wax paper in clumsy little piles before it sets. That's it. The haystacks hardened at room temp into sweet, savory bites that were both bizarre and totally addictive. They lived in cookie tins, circulated through classrooms, scout events, and holiday swaps. Kids could make them solo. Adults had no excuse not to. But these days, we want elegance, not nostalgia. Fancy truffles and glossy candy shells push these humble haystacks out to pasture. But ask anyone who's had one. They'll tell you, simple snacks can hide holiday magic. 12. Divinity Candy. Divinity Candy didn't come easy, and that's exactly why Southern grandmas loved it. A glossy, cloud-white meringue kissed with vanilla and studded with pecans, it was a confection that demanded perfect timing and total weather awareness. Too much humidity and you have a heartbreak. But get it right. Heaven. You'd boil sugar, corn syrup, and water to exactly 260 degrees F, while egg whites whipped into stiff, snowy peaks. Then the syrup got slowly poured in, creating dense, shiny sweetness you had to drop quickly in spoonfuls before it stiffened. It looked like angel food and tasted like sugary clouds with a nutty crunch. Some tinted it pink for extra charm. Mastering Divinity Candy was a badge of honor, proof that you knew sugar science. But today's instant everything era doesn't have time for checking the dew point before dessert. Divinity didn't fade because it failed. It vanished because patience did. 13. Harvey Wallbanger Cake. Harvey Wallbanger Cake walks straight off the cocktail menu and onto your holiday dessert table, boozy, bold, and orange as a 1970s punch bowl. It started with a trusty yellow cake mix and instant pudding, but that's where normal ended. Add eggs, oil, and orange juice, sure, but then came vodka, and Galliano, that towering golden bottle of sweet Italian liqueur. The result was rich, moist, impossibly aromatic. Out of the oven, you'd poke holes across the cake and soak it with a sugary glaze made from, you guessed it, more Galliano and juice. The orange anise combo was unmistakable, sweet, herbal, slightly wild. Serving this cake sang of sophistication and just a hint of rebellion. It wasn't just dessert, it was a wink, a nod, a "we're fun" signal from the host. But as tastes turned away from sweet cocktails, Harvey vanished, taking his sticky, spiked legacy with him. 14. Bacardi Rum Cake. Bacardi Rum Cake didn't whisper flavor, it shouted. Loud, moist, and unabashedly alcoholic, it transformed store-bought shortcuts into holiday gold. Begin with yellow cake mix, turbocharged by adding instant vanilla pudding, eggs, oil, water, and a hearty pour of dark Bacardi rum. The nuts on the bottom of the bundt pan formed a crispy crown once flipped, but the true star was the glaze. As the cake emerged, steaming and golden, it got attacked with a rum butter syrup, a full cup of rum boiled with sugar and butter to coat every inch. It soaked in deeply, transforming crumb to pudding-like lushness. The smell alone could make you wobble. Hosts warned designated drivers. This cake wasn't subtle, it was spirited, literally. It was also wildly popular during the heyday of boozy desserts. But in today's health-aware, liability-conscious world, a cake that could legally count as a cocktail doesn't exactly fly. And so it slipped away, one slice at a time. 15. Grasshopper Pie. Grasshopper Pie was minty, boozy, and green enough to make your holiday table glow. Named after the cocktail, this dessert oozed 70s swank. The crust, crushed chocolate wafers or Oreos fused with melted butter, chilled into place. The filling, A dreamy blend of melted marshmallow or marshmallow fluff and heavy cream whipped until cushiony. Then came the real star, green creme de menthe and white creme de cacao. The mint was sweet, not fresh. It wasn't trying to be herbaceous, it was trying to party. A chill in the fridge turned it mousse-like, topped with chocolate shavings, whipped cream swirls, maybe even a chocolate drizzle. Each slice looked stunning, pastel green mousse against a dark cookie crust. But when cocktail culture sobered up and green dye got demonized, Grasshopper Pie lost its groovy charm and swaggered off stage. 16. Oatmeal Scotchies. Oatmeal Scotchies were the cookies you didn't know you wanted until you tasted them warm. They were Nestlé's cozy answer to the chocolate chip craze. Chewy oatmeal rounds dotted with sweet butterscotch chips and a hint of cinnamon. You'd start with butter, white and brown sugar creamed to fluff, blend in eggs and vanilla, then fold in oats, flour, and spice until thick and golden. The payoff: entire butterscotch chips folding in last. Drop them on a baking sheet and bake until just golden on the edges. The secret: pull them early, they'd set up perfectly on the rack. They filled Christmas cookie tins across 60s and 70s America, their golden hue perfect against holiday reds. But once salted caramel took over the dessert scene, poor butterscotch got left behind. Still, the right batch can transport you instantly. Warm kitchen, cinnamon in the air, joy by the dozen. 17. Tomato soup fruitcake. Tomato soup in a fruitcake. Sounds like someone messed up the grocery list, until you remember carrot cake. The idea: vegetables to dial up moisture and add just enough mystery. This oddball recipe was born during the Great Depression and got revived in the 60s thanks to Campbell's enthusiastic promos. You'd cream butter and sugar, beat in eggs, and then casually toss in a whole can of condensed tomato soup. Flour and leavening came next, spiced with warm notes of cinnamon, cloves, and nutmeg. Raisins, candied fruit, and chopped nuts got folded into the thick, red-tinted batter. Baked long and low, it emerged deep mahogany with a whisper of tang. The tomato wasn't detectable, it just worked some kind of alchemy. People laughed, then asked for seconds. But as ingredient optimism faded and canned soup lost its charm, this sleeper hit slipped quietly off the menu. 18. Robert Redford Cake. This next dessert claimed to be better looking than Robert Redford, a bold flex for a 70s potluck pan. Known as Robert Redford Cake, this layered no-bake treat was equal parts creamy, crunchy, and cool. Start with a press-in crust of flour, pecans, and butter baked into a golden shell. On top, a layer of sweetened cream cheese whipped with Cool Whip into a soft cloud. Then came a thick spread of instant pudding, usually chocolate or vanilla, chilled and set just right. More Cool Whip crowned the top, and it all got dressed up with shavings, chopped nuts, or chocolate drizzle. Every bite hit differently: tangy, creamy, crunchy, smooth. It looked impressive, tasted indulgent, and required zero baking skills after the crust. But when dessert culture pivoted toward rustic skill over shortcut assembly, poor Mr. Redford's namesake dessert became a faded photo in culinary yearbooks. 19. Tunnel of Fudge Cake. Tunnel of Fudge Cake wasn't just a dessert, it was a national phenomenon. When it won the 1966 Pillsbury Bake-Off, Americans rushed to buy bundt pans before they even knew what the word meant. The real trick: a moist chocolate cake with a fudgy surprise baked right into the center. You'd cream butter and sugar, beat in eggs, and then mix in cocoa powder and an entire box of Pillsbury's Double Dutch Fudge frosting mix. Dry, not prepared. Last came the walnuts, adding crunch and finishing. Bake it for exactly 60 minutes, no more, no less. And if you nailed it, the outer cake baked firm while the center stayed gooey like lava. Cool it completely before slicing or else the tunnel collapses. One beautiful cut revealed those molten rings like edible geology. But after Pillsbury discontinued the magic mix, the recipe lost its key and slowly disappeared. A legend gone dark. 20. Hello Dollies. Hello Dollies, also called magic cookie bars, were the 70s answer to sleek, store-bought confections, gooey, golden, and impossible to mess up. With just 6 ingredients and 0 mixing bowls, it was dessert engineering at its simplest. Melt a stick of butter right in your pan, scatter graham cracker crumbs and press them into a crust. Then came layers: chocolate chips, butterscotch chips, shredded coconut, and chopped nuts. Finally, a can of sweetened condensed milk poured gently over everything, seeping down like caramel glue. Baked until bubbling and gold, then cooled overnight, cutting too early guaranteed chaos. The final bite: sticky, chewy, crunchy, sweet, rich, and pure nostalgia. Kids made them for gifts. Adults made them for ease. But as desserts got fussier and ingredient lists longer, the humble Hello Dolly got sidelined. Still, one taste will bring you straight back to vintage kitchens and wax paper-lined tins. 21. Baked Alaska. Science meat dessert. Baked Alaska stunned Christmas dinner guests with a feat no one could believe. Ice cream wrapped in meringue, baked golden and still frozen inside. The base was pound cake or sponge, topped with rock-hard domes of frozen ice cream. Then came a cloud of glossy whipped meringue sculpted into swirling peaks. Into a screaming hot oven it went, just long enough for the outside to bronze perfection while inside, still frosty. The trick: the meringue's air pockets acted as insulation. Pull it off and you weren't just a host, you were a wizard. Sometimes, if drama called for it, the whole thing got flambéed tableside. Baked Alaska was the ultimate party trick. But as entertainment got casual and desserts went low effort, this fiery showstopper faded into legend. Still, for those who remember the sizzle and the applause, it remains an icon of edible theater. 22. Chocolate fondue. Chocolate fondue transformed dessert into a full-blown experience. It wasn't just chocolate, it was fun. A pot of silky melted chocolate sat at the center of a holiday table, set over a flickering sterno flame in harvest gold or avocado green. Inside, chocolate chips and cream melted into a velvety dream, sometimes spiked with liqueur like Grand Marnier or Kahlua. Surrounding it, skewered de pretty delights: cubes of pound cake, strawberries, bananas, brownies, marshmallows. Guests gathered round, dipping, swirling, laughing. It stretched dessert from a quick course into an event. No slicing, no plating, just sweet bites and social bites. In the 60s and 70s, it signaled cool hosting energy, modern, groovy, communal. But when fondue pots vanished into garage sale boxes, we forgot what dessert could be: participatory, warm, a little messy. Chocolate fondue wasn't the meal's end, it was the climax. 23. Lime Christmas Jell-O Salad. Lime Christmas Jell-O salad brought radioactive brilliance to the holiday table, gleaming green and unapologetically weird. It started with lime gelatin dissolved in boiling water, then fizzed up with cold 7-Up or plain water. Before the mixture is set, oddball ingredients are folded in: drained pineapple, cottage or cream cheese, marshmallows, chopped celery, and pecans. Yes, celery. The whole thing was chilled in a ring mold or pan, transforming into something that was definitely not salad, but definitely served before dessert. The unmolding moment was sacred. A warm water bath, an expert flip, then the reveal onto lettuce leaves, maybe with whipped cream in the center. Flavors: sweet, tangy, creamy, crunchy, and confusing. But that was fun. When gelatin molds lost favor and sensory logic became important, this architectural oddity faded from the spotlight. But back then, it was a wiggly masterpiece. 24. Cranberry Soufflé Salad. Despite the name, cranberry soufflé salad never saw an oven. It lived its life in the freezer. This chilly delight was essentially frozen cranberry fluff, a bright and airy treat that could be made weeks ahead during the busy season. Whole berry cranberry sauce and crushed pineapple formed the base. Whipped cream and mini marshmallows gave it body, and chopped walnuts added bite. Variations included mayo or cream cheese for tang and stability. Spread into pans or muffin tins, it froze until magically firm and scoopable. The soufflé name lent it elegance, but its soul was simple, sweet, and nostalgic. The tartness of cranberries balanced the creamy richness, creating a refreshing contrast after heavy meals. Once praised for its make-ahead brilliance, it fell out of favor when frozen desserts and whipped toppings began facing judgment. But taste it once, and you'll remember why it delighted you. 25. Banana Pudding. Banana pudding wasn't born in the 60s, but it thrived there. With deep southern roots, this layered classic brought warmth and richness to countless family tables. Inspired by English trifles, American cooks replaced sponge cake with vanilla wafers and tossed in layers of ripe sliced bananas and thick custard. When Nabisco launched its famous wafer cookies in 1898, banana pudding became a household name. In post-war America, it exploded in popularity, offering a comforting, crowd-pleasing dessert with irresistible creamy texture and homey flavor. Served chilled in giant glass bowls at potlucks or holidays, it often sparked quiet battles for the last spoonful. Though its daily presence has faded in modern kitchens, it still holds a revered spot at Southern gatherings. Banana pudding is more than just dessert. It's a hug in a dish, a symbol of hospitality, and a shared memory in every scoop. 26. Chiffon cake. Chiffon cake once soared as the modern marvel of desserts, light as air with buttery depth. Invented in the 1920s by a secretive baker, the recipe remained a mystery until 1947, when General Mills bought and released it to the public, sparking a fluffy revolution. Chiffon was a cake hybrid, the richness of butter cake with the height and tenderness of angel food. It demanded skill, egg whites whipped to stiff peaks and folded carefully into a light batter made with oil instead of butter. Through the 50s and 60s, homemakers proudly showcased tall orange or chocolate chiffon cakes, clipped from magazine recipes and baked with precision. But the rise of boxed mixes and shrinking kitchen time pushed it aside. Today, true chiffon, with its perfect crumb and mile-high grace, is less a dessert and more a forgotten art form. 27. Viennetta. Viennetta was a sculpted dream in ice cream form. Launched in the 1980s by Wallbanger, this elegant frozen dessert quickly became the go-to for fancy dinners. It boasted rippling layers of silky vanilla ice cream interspersed with crisp chocolate sheets that shattered like caramelized glass when sliced. A marvel of engineering and marketing, it felt extravagant and grown-up, the upgrade from cartoon-coated cones. Its fan-like fanned appearance and satisfying texture made it a hit for celebrations well into the 90s. While still available in some places, Viennetta's golden era has melted away, leaving memories of black tie birthdays and freezer case royalty. 28. Nesselrode Pudding. Nesselrode pudding once reigned as the crown jewel of holiday desserts in high society. Named after Russian diplomat Count Karl Nesselrode, this frozen custard creation was studded with rum-soaked candied fruits and chopped nuts, a rich medley of textures and flavors. Originating in the 19th century, it screamed luxury. With preparation that required candying, freezing, and equipment most home kitchens lacked, it became the grand finale at elite tables. Think of it as Victorian ice cream, thickened by hand and served like treasure. As refrigerators became more common and commercial ice cream went mainstream, the time-consuming elegance of Nesselrode faded into oblivion. Today it lingers only in footnotes, a ghost of an elaborate era when dessert wasn't just sweet, it was status. 29. Tunnel of Fudge. The Tunnel of Fudge cake didn't just make an entrance, it made history. This gooey, mysterious cake with its signature molten center became iconic after it took Pillsbury's 1966 bake-off by storm. Its brilliance lay in contrast, the outside baked to a soft crumb while the interior remained a velvety tunnel of chocolate fudge. Home bakers were enchanted. Its ingredients were simple: cocoa powder, butter, sugar, eggs, chopped nuts, and that key frosting mix, dry, not prepared. The magic was in the timing. Overbake it and the tunnel disappeared. Undercook it and it was uncooked. Performed perfectly, each cut revealed a melty center embraced by a ring of cake. But when Pillsbury discontinued the frosting mix, bakers couldn't replicate the magic. Attempts at revivals surfaced, but the Golden Age version, lost, like the perfect slice that got away. 30. Dacquoise. Dacquoise was the French diva of desserts, layers of nutty meringue alternating with creamy, luxurious filling. Popularized in mid-century America, it was the gold standard for special occasions, crafted by ambitious home bakers and pastry chefs with serious chops. The almond or hazelnut meringue layers were crisp yet chewy, delicate yet bold. Between them came buttercream or whipped cream, spread with precision, then chilled into a firm yet tender beauty. It was Europe on a dessert plate, demanding time, focus, and a cool kitchen. Dacquoise wasn't for the faint of heart or short on patience. But when time-saving sweets took over, it slowly disappeared from Tupperware-top tables, not because it wasn't loved, but because it couldn't be rushed. Today, it's a rare gem found mostly in patisseries, a whisper from a fancier, fussier time. 31. Apple Brown Betty. Apple Brown Betty, simple, humble, and rich in American roots. Dating back to colonial kitchens, this dessert layered tart apples with spiced breadcrumbs or oats, baked until golden, sweet, and bubbling. It was the more rustic cousin of crisps and cobblers, often enriched with cinnamon, nutmeg, and plenty of butter. Easy, comforting, deeply satisfying, this dish embodied frugality and warmth. Originating from British settlers' layered puddings, the American version championed harvest abundance with minimal ingredients. By the 1920s, it was a household staple, a symbol of home cooking's honest heart. During the holiday season, it offered a fragrant sense of family and tradition. But as dessert menus demanded beauty over simplicity, Apple Brown Betty faded into the background. Today, it lives in memory more than on menus, a quiet legend of pie-less perfection. 32. Rum Baba. Rum Baba, also known as Baba au Rhum, was soaked in history and syrup. A light yeast-risen cake bathed in powerful rum syrup, it was the boozy delight of French patisseries, perfect for grown-up celebrations. First rising to fame in the 18th century, it's said to be named after the exotic tales of Ali Baba. What set it apart wasn't just the flavor, but the ritual. Once baked golden, the cake was poked, soaked, and sometimes filled with pastry cream or topped with whipped cream and fruit. One bite and it melted into a rum-drenched, airy indulgence. Perfect for grand tables and holiday flair, Rum Baba spoke of sophistication with a kick. But as sweet liqueur desserts dipped out of fashion, this rich relic followed. Still, its velvet texture and spirited flavor echo across fine dining history. 33. Baked Alaska. Baked Alaska. Even the name sounds like drama, and this ice cream meets meringue showpiece delivered every time. Layered sponge cake formed the base. On top, a dome of solid frozen ice cream, vanilla, peppermint, or whatever festive flavor fits the night. Then came the thick, sweet meringue, swirled and piped to perfection until not a chill could escape. Baked at blistering heat for a few fleeting minutes, it emerged bronzed and brilliant, with ice cream still frosty inside. Some households added flames by flambeing with rum, making it both dessert and spectacle. Originally created to celebrate Alaska's U.S. annexation, it became a mid-century dinner party trophy. Yet as culinary tastes simplified and fewer dared the multi-step daring of such a feat, baked Alaska quietly left center stage. But for many who grew up watching that golden dome hit the table, the memory still burns, bright and sweet. 34. Pecan Pie. Last but never least, pecan pie, the quintessential Southern finale. Its origin is blurred through time, but most trace it to French settlers discovering the pecan nut from Native American tribes. It found its calling in the early 20th century, when corn syrup became a staple, thanks largely to Caro's recipe right on the bottle. That sticky, rich filling held the toasted pecans in perfect suspended animation, sweet and nutty with a whisper of vanilla. Come Thanksgiving and Christmas, no table was complete without it. The crust was simple but flaky, and the top glistened like amber glass. Sweet, dense, and deeply nostalgic, every bite carried warmth and history. Though modern health trends have nudged sugary pies aside, pecan pie isn't going quietly. It's more than a dessert. It's a Southern story told in syrup, memory, and crunch.